Imagine you're living 1 million years ago. The sun has just disappeared behind the horizon, and darkness is spreading across the land. There are no houses to protect you, no electric lights, no blankets, no weapons made of steel, and certainly no fire. The temperature begins to drop, strange sounds echo through the forest, and somewhere in the distance, a lion roars. At this moment, you are not the hunter. You are the prey. Every sunset could be your last because once darkness arrived, the world belonged to predators. Long before humans built cities, invented language as we know it, or even learned how to grow crops, survival was a daily struggle. Early humans spent almost every waking hour searching for food. Some days they found berries, fruits, roots, or insects. On lucky days, they managed to catch a small animal. On unlucky days, they went to sleep hungry. Life was unpredictable, and nature offered no second chances. Unlike many predators, humans were neither the fastest runners nor the strongest fighters. They had no sharp claws like bears, no powerful jaws like wolves, and no thick fur to survive freezing nights. Compared to the animals around them, humans seemed weak. Yet despite these disadvantages, one day they would become the most dominant species on Earth. The question is, what changed? The answer wasn't bigger muscles. It wasn't sharper teeth. It wasn't even intelligence alone. The greatest turning point in human history came from something that already existed in nature but had never been controlled by any other species. Fire. Without fire, the modern world would never have existed. Every meal you cook, every light you switch on, every factory, every engine, and every piece of technology traces its history back to the moment humans first learned to control flames. But how did that incredible journey begin? Scientists cannot travel back in time to watch our ancestors discover fire, so nobody knows the exact moment it happened. However, archaeology, genetics, and the remains of ancient campsites have allowed researchers to reconstruct a story that is both fascinating and surprisingly believable. The first humans almost certainly did not know how to create fire. Instead, they first encountered it through nature itself. Imagine a violent thunderstorm sweeping across an ancient forest. Dark clouds cover the sky. Rain pours down. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning crashes into a dry tree. Within seconds, flames shoot high into the air. The wind carries the fire from one tree to another until an entire section of the forest is burning. Animals run in every direction. Birds escape into the sky. Even the largest predators flee from the unstoppable flames. From a safe distance, a small group of early humans watches in complete silence. They have probably never seen anything so terrifying. The fire destroys everything in its path, yet at the same time it produces light brighter than the sun, warmth stronger than the hottest day, and a strange crackling sound unlike anything in nature. For hours, maybe even days, they simply watch. Eventually the rain returns, and the fire begins to die. Smoke rises from the blackened trees, and the once dangerous forest becomes quiet again. Slowly, the humans approach the burned landscape. The ground is still warm beneath their feet. Some animals were unable to escape and now lie motionless among the ashes. Then something unexpected catches their attention. The smell. Instead of the usual scent of raw meat, the air carries a rich, unfamiliar aroma. Curious and hungry, someone dares to taste the flesh of an animal that had been cooked by the fire. It is softer. Easier to chew. Easier to digest. Without realizing it, that single bite may have become one of the most important moments in human history. But tasting cooked food was only the beginning. The real challenge was far greater. How do you keep fire alive, when you have absolutely no idea how to make it? Finding fire was one thing. Keeping it alive was something completely different. Early humans almost certainly had no idea how to create flames whenever they wanted. If a wildfire burned out, the opportunity was gone. The only solution was to preserve the fire they already had. A single burning branch became more valuable than food, because without it, they might have to wait weeks, months, or even years before nature created another fire. Imagine a small group of humans carefully carrying glowing pieces of wood as they traveled across the landscape. One person gathered dry branches while another protected the embers from wind and rain. Every night, before going to sleep, someone had to make sure the fire stayed alive until morning. Losing the flame meant losing warmth, protection, and one of the greatest advantages they had ever discovered. As humans spent more time around campfires, they began noticing something remarkable. Dangerous predators rarely came close to the flames. Lions, wolves, and hyenas, animals that had once ruled the night, now kept their distance. For the first time in history, humans could sleep with a greater sense of safety. Fire had become an invisible shield. But its greatest gift was still waiting to be discovered. Raw meat is difficult to chew and digest. It contains harmful bacteria and parasites that can make animals sick. When humans accidentally cooked food over the fire, everything changed. The heat killed many dangerous microorganisms, softened tough meat, and made many plants easier to eat. Suddenly, the same amount of food provided more usable energy. Many scientists believe this change had enormous consequences for human evolution. Because cooked food required less energy to digest, the body could invest more energy elsewhere. Over countless generations, that may have helped support the evolution of larger and more complex human brains, although scientists agree that many different factors work together to shape our evolution. Fire also transformed daily life in unexpected ways. Before sunset, everyone had to finish eating, searching for food, and making simple tools because darkness ended the day. Now the campfire created light long after the sun disappeared. Families gathered around the flames, repaired stone tools, prepared tomorrow's hunt, cared for children, and shared experiences. Some anthropologists even believe that these quiet evenings around the fire encouraged longer conversations, stronger social bonds, and perhaps even the development of more advanced language. The campfire became much more than a source of heat. It became the center of human society. For thousands of years, however, humans still depended on natural fires. If their campfire died unexpectedly, they faced the difficult task of finding another source. That problem forced them to observe nature more carefully than ever before. Eventually, someone noticed that striking certain stones together produced tiny sparks. Others discovered that rubbing dry wood together generated heat through friction. These discoveries did not happen overnight. They were the result of countless generations experimenting, observing, failing, and trying again. The exact place where humans first learned to create fire remains unknown, but once that knowledge spread, history changed forever. For the first time, humans were no longer waiting for lightning. They could create fire with their own hands. And from that moment on, nature was no longer completely in control. Once humans learned to create fire whenever they needed it, their future changed forever. They were no longer trapped in warm regions where survival depended entirely on the climate. Fire allowed them to move into colder lands that had once been impossible to live in. During freezing nights, a small campfire provided enough warmth to keep entire families alive. Animal skins became warmer when dried beside the flames, and caves became safer places to live. For the first time, humans could survive environments that had once belonged only to the toughest animals. Fire also changed the way humans hunted. Hunters could use burning branches to scare predators away from fresh kills or drive groups of animals toward waiting hunters. Smoke kept many insects away, making camps more comfortable and reducing disease. The same flame that once terrified our ancestors had become one of their greatest tools. As centuries passed, humans discovered that fire could do much more than cook food and provide warmth. It could harden wooden spears, making them stronger and more effective. It could shape clay into pottery, allowing people to store water and food. Thousands of years later, humans learned to use fire to melt metals like copper, bronze, and eventually iron. Those discoveries gave birth to stronger tools, better weapons, larger farms, and growing civilizations. Every major step in human progress depended on the ability to control heat. Without fire, there would have been no metal tools. Without metal tools, there would have been no great buildings, no ships capable of crossing oceans, and no machines powerful enough to start the Industrial Revolution. Even today, although our technology looks completely different, we still rely on the same discovery. Power plants generate electricity using heat. Car engines work by controlled explosions. But perhaps the greatest gift of fire was something we cannot see. It brought people together. When the day's hunt was over and darkness covered the land, families gathered around a glowing campfire. They shared food, protected one another, taught children how to survive, and passed knowledge from one generation to the next. Around those ancient fires, stories were told, ideas were exchanged, and cultures slowly began to form. Fire didn't just help humans survive. It helped humans connect. Of course, many details of this story remain a mystery. Scientists continue to study ancient campsites, burned bones, stone tools, and layers of ash to better understand exactly when humans first controlled fire. Some evidence suggests it happened nearly 1 million years ago, while other discoveries point to later dates. The complete story may never be known with absolute certainty. But one fact is beyond doubt. Learning to control fire was one of the greatest turning points in human history. It transformed frightened groups of early humans into explorers capable of crossing continents. It helped shape our bodies, influenced the growth of our societies, and laid the foundation for every civilization that followed. The next time you light a candle, cook a meal, or sit beside a campfire, remember that you are witnessing the same force that changed the destiny of our species. A single flame gave humanity a future. And without it, the world you know today might never have existed. If you enjoyed this journey into the deep past, subscribe to Axon Story, because our story didn't end with fire. It was only the beginning. In the next episode, we'll uncover another incredible chapter in the history of humankind.